everybody, to the 5th episode of Who's the A-Hole. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rob with my lovely, amazing co-host, Miss Helen, of course. That was a cue for you to say your name, but we have another lineup of great posts today. I don't know if we can ever eclipse some of the recent episodes with how ridiculous they were, but I've been surprised before. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So our first one today is let's see. Actually, let me make sure I refresh it.
Fairly recent.
It's a
like 5 days ago.
It's a pretty recent one, yeah. Okay, the title says, "Am I the asshole for telling my husband my money is mine? I am not sure where to update, so I'm putting here." Oh, that's an update. All right, so
that's an update. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we'll go to the big paragraph. "My husband and I had triplets, all boys, about 2 years after we got married. They had some health issues. Because of that, my husband wanted me to quit my job and take care of our boys and our home. Since it was cheaper than paying for specialized childcare, I agreed. Our family lives in a row of townhomes, 6 homes in our building, that were owned by our landlord at the time. I was offered a job cleaning townhomes when a tenant moved out by our landlord. I asked my husband about it. He said that he didn't care, but he didn't want it to interfere with my responsibilities at home. We also agreed the money would be mine since it's a second job. We did this for 3 years. It grew to where I cleaned other places for my landlord. I just put the money into savings. My father-in-law died in June of 2019. When my husband received a check from his mom, I asked my husband about it. He got angry and said that it's his money and any future inheritance would not be part of our family budget. My husband ended up going on several trips with his brothers with the money. I was okay with that. Although I was hurt when he got angry when I asked about it. October 2021, my grandpa died. I'm the only grandchild. My parents make good money, so his estate was left to me. I just transferred the money, rented out the farmland around his home. I did decide to keep his home since it was close to my parents' home. I live 4 hours away from them. I didn't talk to my husband about it since it was my inheritance." I like this. "January of this year, my landlord came to me and let me know he was selling the townhomes I live in. With cost rising around us, I was worried about it. It would cause a major impact on our family budget. Things worked out to where I was able to use my inheritance combined with what I had saved from working to buy the building." Oh my God.
Oh.
"My husband came to me and told me he wants me to deposit part of the rental income from the other townhomes into our family account, allowing more spending money for fun. I reminded him of our agreements, along with we no longer have a rent payment. We ended up in a fight. He is saying that I'm being the asshole for not sharing the money coming in." And that is where it ends. And I was just trying to read it as is for everybody listening, because it's very choppy.
Yeah, there's random periods. I'm assuming accidentally put in. Maybe
Yeah, they're putting it in for
on a phone or something. Who knows? Yeah. So that's why,
this, oh my God.
Okay.
I think there's a lot to unpack here, I feel like.
Well, first off, definitely not the asshole. You had an agreement, right? Between her husband and her had an agreement, right? Not only that, she is right. She is working 2 jobs. She's a full-time mom, not to just a single child, 2 triplets. All right. She has a full responsibility and duties to take care of these triplets and raise them, as well as maintaining the home and house chores. I'm assuming she's doing all of that. Probably meal cooking for the whole family, just doing everything that a stay-at-home mom would do. And aside from that, found means to take a second job on top of that. I think that she's a super mom. That's amazing.
I get that.
And I think it was fair for them to come into that is her money, because he wanted her to stay at home to look after the triplets, right? Especially with their health issues and that being the priority. It seems clear to me he literally drew the line, especially when he got his inheritance and he was just like, yeah, that's my money, that's not yours. Instead of thinking of oh, this could go towards the whole entire family. He was just like, that's my money. Which is, you know what? Okay, fair enough. That is your inheritance. You can do whatever you want with it. But like, so why is it an issue when she don't want to like split where the money's coming in, Because
Yeah.
rightfully they wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for her, and that was rightfully done through her money, all of her money, not his.
Yeah, she didn't touch
Right?
any like combined money there.
Yeah.
But okay, I think I may have some thoughts on how to complicate this. Possibly. So, he decide like he's the guy, I guess, is because she's being a stay-at-home mom. So in terms of money, before she got the second job, he was the breadwinner there. Then she gets the second job, and it seems, as she said, she put it into savings. So that money, her second job money, didn't touch any joint accounts or anything.
Mhm.
And so he gets this inheritance, and this is the first part where I'm like, yeah, this guy's being dumb about it, because I guess for some reason he felt like he deserved this money and he didn't want to
Right.
share it because,
Yeah.
I don't know, he existed long enough so that his, dad would give that inheritance to him. I don't know. It's always weird with that, because I've had a lot of inheritance things happen over the years, and this kind of stuff comes up all the time. But so that's the first thing where I'm like, okay, I can see where this is going. Like from when I first read this, I thought, so she's probably gonna also get some kind of inheritance, and it's gonna
Right.
and she's gonna keep it. And I was initially thinking that's fair, but I would kind of want some more details about how like the heftiness of his inheritance, because hers, with an estate involved and a farm, and she was able to start renting land out, like that sounds like a significant amount more of money. And for me, in like a relationship, especially if you're married, when I feel like there is a level of fairness where she should uh like be wanting to keep an equivalent portion of it, like how he kept. But when something is still making money, and like you are married to somebody, I feel like if his regular job money is going into some kind of joint account to let them be like live where they are, and I feel like if she's making regular money and everything else is even now, that could also be shared to me. So it feels a little bit petty.
I think it's nulled, because he was just like, well, my inheritance is his inheritance, and he kind of just like literally sent a big message about that. So I don't even blame her for the way that she went about her inheritance, whether it was continued income after that or whatever, like, it is what it is. That's how I see it.
That's true. That I could understand that.
He drew the line. He was just like, this is the inheritance I got.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sharing it with you, and I'm gonna, go on a trip with my brother, blah 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 blah. And so obviously, if someone did that to me, it would just say, oh, so whenever I get my inheritance, then I'm allowed to do what I want with it.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
I totally get that. I think this is where I'm trying to think about it from another perspective, because
like from what, like, reading this, right? Like, the landlord said he was going to sell off the buildings.
Yeah, this is an
right?
additional thing. So I'm talking about the
so-
initial farm renting, which is
I
all
know,
from
but
that.
that's where the money it's still like related. So like the landlord
Right.
says he's be selling off the buildings, which to me sounds like they're gonna lose their home, right?
Right.
So like, and she even says here, with costs rising around us, I was worried about it. It would cause a major impact in our family budget. So that means he didn't sound like he had the means to comfortably support the entire family. Because it says that it would impact their family budget.
It would,
right?
it would impact it. It sounded like it would impact their family budget if they had to move to a place that cost more. But see, this is why I'm trying to like more critically understand what's being said here, because I'm not understanding all like their money situation fully. So pre any inheritance, she's a stay-at-home mom, which should be a paid job. I agree with that. That's a lot of hard work. There's a lot that goes into it. But she doesn't have any additional job. That is her job. And but her job doesn't naturally generate income. He has an income generating job.
Right.
So they're able to live and, you know, eat and have a place to live.
Fine with her,
and that was
being
fine.
a stay-at-home mom, right?
Yes.
She's a stay-at-home mom, and coincidentally, shocker, it's like, oh, you know what? I got the money. I'm buying out all these buildings.
Well,
They're
yeah.
ours
Well,
now.
I'm trying to.
Right?
I'm trying to like slowly take this step by step so that I can understand it, because I feel like there's a much.
I don't know. I think this one's pretty black and white to me.
I really don't. I don't think it is at all. Because okay,
I think it is because like the way I see it is okay. In a healthy, regular relationship, yes, you would have healthy discussions about your financial situations. That is a very important discussion to have, right? Especially with say one partner makes more money than the other, and to contribute, whether it's to like future vacations or like, you know, like contributing to utilities, rent, whatever it is you're trying to like split the costs and stuff, you would it wouldn't be like 50-50. You would do it that it is, you know, where
there'd be proportion.
Proportionate. It would
It'd
make
be proportional,
sense, right?
yeah.
Which is why it's important to discuss your financial situations with your partner. It just makes sense, right? So, but in this situation, it's clear that it's kind of not there, because he's just like, well, okay. Like, I don't think it ever crossed his mind that she was making that much money. But it wasn't, it really feels like he didn't want to know anyways. Because he was just like, okay, well, this is how much money I'm making. I can very comfortably take care of us. Just stay at home.
Yeah. No, I see that. I still kind of want to go through. I kind of want to go through the process here, because I'm trying to.
I don't know.
Figure it out.
Maybe like why she didn't want to talk about. Well, I do understand why she didn't want to talk about her inheritance and what happened after that fact with the extra income coming in, right? Because of what he did earlier. So I just like feel like she's kind of justified in her actions. I'm not saying she should have probably gone about it like that, because I still feel like in a relationship, yes, you should be talking about your financial situation. Were they talking about it up to that point? I don't know. We don't have the full story, which I think you were trying to point out. Like there are some things we don't like fully know, you know, because I kind of wish we did have a little bit more information. And so it's like, wait, was your husband like fully like just like, yeah, I'm like fully capable of financially taking care of us. We're good. We're set here. And then whatever extra money he was making, he would throw in the joint account, it sounds like, because family budget mentioned at the end there.
Yeah. So okay, so there is a bit of an update, but I still want to kind of, because I kind of want to try to I kind of want to try to make my point here. So if we go through how this is, at first it's him. The family budget is his personal job income. That's the family budget. Then she starts working a second job, and
he says, "Fine, you keep it."
Yeah,
that's what he said.
And so she puts that in savings as agreed. That's an actual discussion that was agreed upon. So the family budget, it still sounds like it's still just his income, because she gets to keep that. That's what it sounds like there. And then an inheritance comes in on his side, and he, to me, I would say he was being very selfish about that, because he is a husband and a father of 3 kids. So
that's where I don't get why he was so adamant about.
I hate that part. So that happens, and he decides to be selfish and goes on trips and says it doesn't get put in the family budget, which the priorities, that blows my mind. That feels like an asshole right there.
You would rather go on the trips with your brother and not your family, and let alone your wife, who literally raised your, not just a single child, your triplets who had health problems.
Right.
And you told her to stay at home.
Yeah. So I think we can very much agree that part of it, yes, he screwed up. He is an asshole. I don't like that happened. Okay. Next, she gets an inheritance that is some money, an estate, and a home and farmland. She's able to start renting out the farmland.
Yes.
And that's this is the part where it's like, if he got like, you know, 100K and she got like 500K, you know, I even then I'd be like, okay, he was an asshole about this. I think she can keep, you know, a large portion, if not all of this, because he did a jerkwad thing. And
Well,
I think that's perfectly fine and fair. But I think there's a point, and I think like because of the point of when people post these is trying to figure out like whether or not they're an asshole or did like a jerk move. I
but
think
think
there's a
of it
point at
this way:
which it gets
he used
petty.
his inheritance for himself, and this is why I don't feel like she is the asshole, because she didn't just use her inheritance for her own means. Because I feel like because what happened is at the end, she did it for her whole family,
Well,
right?
yeah. So the final choice
That's the thing.
was for the
She did it for her
family
whole family.
out of the family budget. That
Otherwise, they would be in a position where it's really stressful. They would probably have to relocate. He might have to like find another job, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? She used her inheritance for her family. When has he ever used his inheritance for his own family?
well, so according to this, he didn't. According to all the information we
Right?
have, he
Which
didn't.
is why I feel like she's kind of justified in what she did. I mean,
It seems to me like it's gotten to a point where now it's overboard. It's gotten to a petty point where I do feel like you lean closer to asshole territory
nah, I don't think she's
because
an asshole. I really don't.
because according to this, he
It's her
said
money.
she said my husband came to me and told me he wants me to deposit part of the rental income from the other townhomes into the family account. And to me, even though yes, he was an asshole, and yes, all
No,
of
no,
this
no, no,
like
no. Because it's not. I don't trust that because family count. But she's saying allowing for more spending money for fun. I think he thinks he wants to use that money for himself. The reason being is because his own inheritance, he used it on himself. He didn't use it for his family. So I
well,
think
right,
that's
yeah,
what I'm leaning towards. Like I don't think she's the asshole, but that's how I'm interpreting it.
yeah. Well, so to me, allowing more spending money for fun doesn't sound like he's trying to use it on himself. It sounds like if it's going into the family account, it's for fun for the family, like family vacation or family things or better Christmas gifts and stuff like that. That's what that sounds like to me because it's really not enough
Yeah. So then
information
why
for
didn't
us
he
to
put his own
know.
inheritance money in the account then?
Well,
But he
right.
didn't.
Yes, I'm saying like I'm trying to say like yes, that is a thing he did.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think
I
that that
really don't
one
think she's the
thing
asshole,
I don't
dude.
think that one thing can
Nah.
override everything forever to me because I'm kind of like a person who thinks you can make a mistake and you can recover from it. And I
I'm
think there's a
sorry.
certain level of like balance to
I
have
just
where
don't
she
see
can
it.
have a lot. So
I just
that's
don't see it because the way I see it is like if she's already at home taking care of these kids and stuff like that, she's probably like taking into account like oh I'm gonna put this money aside for my kids and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean like they would put the money in the joint
she
account
okay,
to
so
do
then
that. There could be a separate accounts and stuff, right?
that could be another
We don't know
thing.
that there's like other
We
factors. Maybe that's why she
yeah.
doesn't feel comfortable putting that money into the family account because she's probably thinking more along the lines of like other responsibilities and stuff, which is why I feel like she is hesitant to put that money in there because allowing for more spending money for fun. Why? Because he just sounds like a greedy asshole. Like he didn't. I don't know. It's just very, very
Okay,
weird.
I
I
definitely
really don't trust
see.
him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah.
don't
So
trust him
that
because, like,
first action broke your trust with this guy. That's what
yeah, I like
happened.
the first one with him spending his entire inheritance. Like, you're right. He is a husband. He's a father, and he should realize like that is your priority. That is your responsibility. And it clearly is. You really don't care. You're really, really selfish, and you've put that whole entire burden on your wife, right? Especially when you ask her to quit your job entirely to take care of the boys and the home, right? And in itself, that is a very much a full time job. And then, she has, is very fortunate and is lucky to able to find a second job, because like, like raising triplets is expensive. And especially when you're trying to prep for their future, that's not just one child, that's times three, very expensive. So like
Hmm.
if she saw how her husband acted with the inheritance and that spoke volumes. Of course, I'm gonna, like, if I was in her position, I would just wonder. I'm like, oh my god, I would feel very much on my own. That means, he might do this again in the future. He might even think about the kids. I need to like prepare just in
Yeah.
case. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
Prepare just in case.
No,
So
I
like
get that.
I would totally feel very hesitant to like in that position share my money
Yeah, and
with
the
him.
more to like, I was just trying to also think about it from varying perspectives, because
I don't
I've
know.
seen the other side of this too, where like somebody gets a bunch of money and they spend it on themselves, and their partner then gets a bunch of money, and because they did that, then they spend it on themselves, and like everything is
I get it.
equal. But then
Two
there's
wrongs
this,
don't make a right.
yeah.
Right?
So
I
but
get that
I think
point,
I think
but
it's fair. I think it's still fair for the other person to spend it on themselves and do that. However, especially based on what you were saying and things I'm reading, and I want to read one reply that she did to a comment asking for info here in a second.
okay. Like I said, I feel like
Is
there is maybe some things we're not really getting, but I'm just basing off like if I was in her position, I'm just trying to understand from her position like why she came to this point where she's just like, it's my money.
yeah. So
Because there has to be a reason why
and
you were in that
I'm personally being
thinking like that.
I am being swayed more for sure, especially with this thing that I'm about to read. But so before reading this, I was starting to get to the idea that that your point is he spent all this on himself, not even a thought for the family, but her saying that she's going to keep it for herself actually means that she's not going to necessarily just spend it on herself and ditch the kids.
Yeah.
She's spending it on the kids and stuff like that. And here is why this is getting more cemented. So there was a comment asking for some info. Did you buy the building, the 6 townhomes, and you're now the landlady, or you bought the townhome, you have no rental? So it sounds like she bought the building. Did your husband spend his inheritance on trips instead of healthcare for the triplets or a family holiday? Do you spend any of it on you, your kids, or savings? Spending money for fun, in quotes. What fun is he talking about here? Has he contributed to fun times, or only wants that from your money? So this is perfect. This is the exact info I was looking for, and where we were wondering,
Okay.
which is, so she did reply.
She replied to it. Okay, let me see.
It's several comments down. It's like 10 comments down, but it's the one that says info. So her reply says, yes, I bought the building, all 6 townhomes. I created an LLC and opened a checking account under the LLC. Why I think my husband's having a hard time. When my father-in-law passed away, I was driving a compact car, one I owned before we got married. Fitting the kids' car seats was very difficult in the back seat. So when I saw his mom give him the money, I asked about it. All the money he received was spent on trips with his siblings. None of it went to our family. He burned through it fast. He was gone a lot, leaving me alone for days. I think he needed a break from it all. Having the triplets, we had to make hardcore decisions. Before he received his money, we both made major sacrifices, cutting our hobbies, trips, cable, so on. We went bare basics just to cover the kids' medical expenses. He struggled with cutting back so much. I struggled worrying about how to come up with all the copays for our kids' medical expenses. I wanted to have the money in savings for my peace of mind. Even though I could have had fun, quote unquote, with the money I earned, I didn't. I wanted that safety net. So this is one of those things, like, I initially agreed with your gut reaction to it and your gut assessment of the situation, but I wanted to take a second, because even though we've talked about this before, I still don't fully trust my gut when I hear about these things, but I like you, I've very rarely been wrong on those initial feelings. So I wanted to think about it like that, because I have seen so many situations where families get torn apart because of this inheritance stuff.
Because money is always a sensitive topic, and people are always fighting over money.
Right.
It's just true. But I figured like as a mom of 3, that's probably what she was thinking.
Yeah.
Because that's what I kind of got that from how she was kind of explaining things.
For sure. I feel like I also had some trouble getting everything together because of the way it was written, so I had to continue reading it and interpreting it.
Some random periods here and there, and I was like, oh, did she cut that? No, that's a continuation.
Yeah. So with this comment with info, God, he sounds awful. I was trying to give this guy the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, But
Nah.
now with this information, especially with the he burned through it fast. He was gone a lot, leaving me alone for days. Like,
Okay, let me just say,
excuse
he has the
me.
audacity to be like, I'm so burnt out and tired from taking care of the triplets. And it's like, excuse me? You asked your wife to quit her job to take care of them full time. You don't think she deserves a break?
Like
The mother of your children?
I
I'm
literally
sorry?
I don't understand. I don't understand because okay, and now I'm going to bring in and I'm going to say this a couple things, and then I want to say her little update here because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of
right.
it's kind of
It's a
spicy.
paragraph.
It's kind of
I
spicy.
haven't even read it yet. I was gonna wait for you to read it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So my like all of my grandparents are dead now, and each time there was some stuff to deal with inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
My parents each have siblings, and on my mom's side there was no issue at all because everything was set up correctly. They got all of the who's the executor and all of this stuff set up correctly, figured out where things split, got stuff sold off that needed to be blah blah blah, all agreement. And we're splitting it 50-50. And sometimes because my aunt is married without kids, and obviously my mom is married with 4 kids, so there was a little bit of bending there to give a little bit more on this side. On my dad's side, it was always this fight because he had siblings that were like basically selfish and greedy a lot of the time, and they burned through money a lot. So like it was it like really screwed up stuff with them. But then as money came in, both of my parents spent it on stuff that they needed together, like the house, vehicle stuff, and then gave us either a bunch of money, paid off some of our student loan related stuff.
Right, right.
And that's where it went. And it was a lot of the times we get to the point where the children would be like, okay, don't forget you two have to live.
Right.
So please stop and you know, get your groceries and pay your own bills and stuff. And the thing was, they actually had already figured that all out, and like they've been all set with that kind of stuff for a long time now, and they knew exactly what they were going to do because they communicated and they figured everything out. They knew where they were going to help us. They knew where they were going to do stuff for themselves, and they went on trips by themselves, but together, doing fun things that they liked. Like my parents are in their, well, actually my dad is 60, my mom is in her late 50s. So my dad in the last like 10 years got into motorcycles, so they went on this mudding motorcycle trip as like, you know, relatively old people. I thought that was so cute and funny, and I keep thinking about that really because they did it together, right? And these folks here, you know, they have 3 kids, and this guy is still being a jackass about it, and I can't believe it. And reading through a bunch of these comments, like it took me a while to get to an info one because I was really hoping there was one. I'm so glad that there was, because they were all saying not the asshole, but a lot of them were saying you need a lawyer. You need to have more discussions with this. Some were calling for divorce. We see this so many times in these posts.
But it's not wrong. Maybe she should talk to a lawyer.
She should at least. So here's the update. Get ready for the spice. So this was in her original post. She edited it, but she didn't tell us that she did.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I was like, oh.
So here's the edit. My husband and I had a long talk when he came home. He knows I'm leaving on a trip and asked to go. I told him I needed time. I showed him the comments on this thread. He said he would do whatever I wanted. He volunteered to sign a post-nuptial. I didn't even know that was a thing. Before I even asked him, he just doesn't want a divorce. He was shocked with how many people recommended that here. My BFF's husband is a lawyer. He said he can draw up the paperwork tonight. We will sign it tomorrow. I will update you after my trip how it all goes. I also decided once he signs the prenuptial on my, or well, I guess post-nuptial on my inheritance, then I will ask him about putting my work income in our family budget. He can help when he is off work with the house and kids as possible as a compromise. So because she's saying, okay, so her work income, I guess, is not going to be cleaning anymore. It's going to be landlord stuff. Right. And she's offering to put that in the family account. but she wanted something out of him, and it sounds like when he's off work, he'll do stuff with the house and the kids as a possible compromise.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it sounded like. It sounded like he
allow,
literally
yeah,
threw all of the responsibilities onto her.
right. So, and then she said, allowing him to have spending money and giving me a break. So, okay. So there's a chance that, yes, this guy is, oh, this is actually interesting vocabulary, inherently an asshole, but may not have completely realized how asshole he was, and is now getting a massive wake-up call. Massive.
There it is. Because he realized, no, of course he doesn't want a divorce. He's probably one of those dumb shits that doesn't even realize how good he has it, how much, and he probably, I'm not saying that he doesn't love his kids or his family, right? I'm just saying, like, okay, come on, dude, wake up, like, for real.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
and that's what it sounds. That's what it sounds like. I hope this is a good ending, because
me too. There's a lot of potential here.
Yeah.
He could change. He could change.
He could. And I didn't realize, like, initially how this could be thought about. So I do like that there's a lot to unpack here, and I hope, especially if anybody watching or listening is married, has children, that you realize, especially through a lot of these threads, that immediate and direct communication makes a lot of these threads not exist. Like,
yeah, but a lot of people don't know how to talk to one another.
They don't. They truly do not.
To one another, and they don't know how to listen.
That is the biggest thing. Like, critical listening is, it's so important to do. God, like, society would be so different if people. So there's two things to it. If people genuinely listened with a critical ear, and if people speaking felt heard. Because that's a big issue for me. There are a lot of times where I'll be speaking to someone or in a group, and I don't feel heard. And it makes me not want to try anymore. And I see that happening in a lot of just regular relationships as well, too. So I think it's very important. Listening, understanding comes from listening. So I think it's, I agree. Okay.
Well, that was a good update. Hopefully they're good moving forward from that point.
Yes, I definitely, wish them the best. It sounds like they're talking and getting it sorted and making sure. And one thing we don't have to worry about is they seem to be financially set now.
Yeah, and that's good, especially when you are a mother of 3.
Exactly. Oh God. Okay. All right. Okay. A lot to think about from that post, but let's go ahead and move on to our second one for this episode.
Okay.
And
here it is.
And it's additionally spicy, and because of things of the past, I'm very happy that you are the one to read it, because I think you will have.
I'm gonna get emotional. All right, I'm probably gonna have it out first here. Warning.
So
all right, here we go.
Yeah, there's things involved for here, so please, if you would.
Okay. Am I the asshole for abandoning my son and refusing to collect him after my ex told me to?
Okay, so you see the elements
that's a title.
You see the elements that I think are relevant to things you feel passionate about.
All right, okay. I have a 4-year-old son with my ex-husband. We've been in the middle of a divorce since our son was 1. Really?
The first sense.
My ex has made settling the divorce and deciding custody of our son hell for me, both financially and emotionally. I finally reached my boiling point 2 months ago when I realized just how bad my finances are at the moment, and the fact that I would need to stop the divorce and move to an even cheaper but dangerous area to just survive at this point. I don't want my son to have to live there too. So I decided that the next time my ex was in the country, I would take my son and leave him with his dad since he wants custody so badly. Wait, what?
Please. Keep going.
No, I was like, what? Okay. My ex assumed it was just for the day, but when I didn't come to pick him up in the evening and I wasn't home when he tried to drop him off, he started texting and calling me nonstop, telling me I needed to come collect our son since he didn't have his nanny there and he was very busy. I ignored him for over a week until he started threatening to have someone come and find me. We had a conversation where my ex was asking me what type of mother just ups and abandons her child like I had done. He wanted to know where I was and wanted to know when I was going to come back. When I told him I wasn't, he told me he had learned his lesson and I needed to stop punishing our son to make a point. I told him I wouldn't come back because my ex was right. He had the money to give our son a better life, so he had won. He asked me what he was supposed to tell our son, and I told him he should tell him the truth, that his dad liked to bully people with his money and it made me have to go away. He got really angry and told me not to play games and that we would go back to our old financial agreement that we had before I filed for divorce if I would just come back. Am I the asshole?
And we sit back for a minute and we
That was a
breathe.
lot. Wait. I need to digest a lot was just said.
Let me think.
There are real people like this.
Yes! That's step one, phase one, first reaction, initial gut thoughts. These people exist.
I just. Okay. All right. Okay. I need a drink.
I literally, yes, I need hydration.
Okay. No, that was a really short post, but there was a lot of info in there.
It was dense.
Okay. All right. Let's just. You're a fucking asshole. If no one's never like told you before, you are the biggest asshole. Okay. Like, it's one thing to realize that you are not in a good financial place to take care of your child and having a proper discussion with your ex-partner about it. Right? It's like, I get it. You're going through a divorce. It's messy. But if if both of your priority is the child and doing what's right and and not always maybe not what's right, but maybe what's best.
Right.
Of course, you need to have that discussion with your ex-partner. You can't just take a very childish, high school, pathetic, passive-aggressive ambushing, a little bit of an ambushing thing, because she kind of just like threw this whole scenario on the ex. Like, you can't just do that. And then the worst part is, like, there's no explanation of like where you went and why you did what you did. You're just like, okay, I'm just gonna just up and leave my child with the ex-husband because, like, yes, I finally realized I don't have any financial means to take care of him, but this is what's best for our son. But then, like, you have the audacity to say things like, oh, go tell him the truth. So you're literally just like, I'm not gonna tell my son. You tell him what happened. Tell him the truth, that his dad likes to bully people with his money and it had made me go away. That's not what happened. You specifically knew exactly what you're doing. You left your child with your ex-partner and was like, yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna leave them. Not gonna reply to my phone calls, text message. Not gonna explain the whole situation.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna do what I do because I feel justified in doing it because my ex-husband is apparently an asshole.
Yeah. So my initial reaction to this is that everyone sucks here. Like, there's no good guy here. There's a poor innocent child that is caught in the middle of two awful people. So my first clue that there were many clues that I was going to hate everything about this. Mostly the second sentence started it. We've been in the middle of a divorce since our son was 1. Okay.
He's 4.
So yeah, I was like, okay, this is not. There's no way that I'm not going to think there's at least one asshole here, and I'm pretty sure they both are. There was this other sentence. So I decided that the next time my ex was in the country, I would take my son and leave him, blah, blah, blah. That my ex was in the country. So let me understand this. This man is in a divorce with this woman, and the man is now, they had a financial and custody agreement in place, and it sounds like he no longer wants that and he wants custody. So this man is fighting this woman for custody of a child, and he's not even in the same country during the proceedings. Exactly. Excuse me.
No, we don't know. Maybe it was for business related reasons. We don't know, right?
The way that the sentence is structured, and because I think this woman knows, I think this woman knows that she did wrong. So I don't think there's a lot of manipulation in the way this is written. that's my gut reaction to it. So I think the way it was written, the next time my ex was in the country, sounds like he's often not. That's the way I see it. It sounds like he's often not. And even if that's for business, that's fine for him. But there is a child involved and you're fighting for the custody. I think there are things in your career that need to get put on hold if you are actually fighting for the child. That's to me it is.
A 3-year divorce?
Oh, some of these divorces, like I've had friends whose parents were divorcing like through their most of their childhood, like from like 8
crazy.
to 16. Yeah, it can take.
It's
especially
pretty
in the
obvious
US.
to me that these two like literally cannot communicate.
No, not at all. Like there's so many
evident.
discussions that could have happened here. Now,
Yeah.
if the mother posting here, if there's a grain of truth to her saying that his dad liked to bully people with his money, then it may sound like the dad is using their financial resources to gain significant advantage in the arguments here, which is also, you know, asshole move in general, you know, fuck capitalism, blah blah blah. But like, it doesn't sound to me like either of them actually truly care for their child. And
you
that's
know, I didn't want to say it, but I agree with you. You know, sometimes it happens more than often, but people just want to win custody because it's more of like a winning thing for them, not because I really love my child and I want them, which is really sad to say, but it does happen.
Yes. And I, looking, like, stepping back from how much I dislike these two people, stepping back from that for a moment, analyzing the data we have, if they are separating and for some reason the mother has not managed to become financially sound in such a way to raise the child and live in an area where it is safe and has the ability, and there's an option where the husband does have all of those means and lives in a safer area and can provide better for the child, I, like, as a judge, I could understand saying, okay, the husband should get the custody here for the sake of the child, in just with that data. However, if if he, like, and he said, what was the sentence? He didn't have his nanny there, and he was very busy.
Very busy.
This man is not even going to raise the child either.
And we know that's why it's such a shitty situation.
Like, my head is, I can't, like, I'm existing near this. Like, I exist on a planet that this is happening. Like, I don't agree with the fact that I have to be here.
Different story if, like, he, you know, what was willing to actually step up and be a father figure.
Yes.
He genuinely wanted his child. Like,
yes.
They both suck. They both suck.
Yeah. The way they do it is it's called ESH. Everyone sucks here.
Yes.
So the fact that it's gone on for 3 years, to me, makes it seem like they perhaps haven't actually gone before a judge for the judge to decide what happens.
Yes,
they have been lawyering back and forth.
Yes,
which is wildly expensive. And I've known people,
that sounds really expensive.
I've known people even very, very close and immediate to me that wanted to divorce, and this is the United States, I don't know if it's different in Canada, but wanted to divorce, but it was too expensive to make the divorce happen, so they just stayed together in misery.
Yeah,
because they couldn't afford to be divorced, especially knowing that, like, the other person would be fighting for things, especially because there's kids involved. So, like, there's, and it does,
and that's reality. That's true. That is true.
Even though I dislike both these people, they're both jerks, assholes, unfit people to me right now. I do sympathize with this woman because for just this brief one thing, she has hit, to me, in her mind, a level of rock bottom. And she does not believe she can provide for her child anymore. Yes. And she does not believe she can financially even afford to do it the proper way and like go through attorneys and get it all
Mm-hmm.
done. So
Mm-hmm.
in her last bit of desperation in her head for making sure, at least, even if she and her husband can never like each other, never come to an agreement, and even if she becomes destitute, the last thing she can do is try to let her child have a chance at a good life, even if it's still going to suck for that child initially. To her, in her head, in this moment, is better with this awful man or this awful man's nanny than it is with her.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with that. I understand her line of thinking, and there is
It is very extreme. Like
an extreme
her
to it.
actions are is very very extreme. Yes, I don't agree with it, but I can see why she was pushed like over the edge. You know,
Yeah.
like hey,
And
I
she's
get why you did that. Don't mean it was the right thing to do. It was
mhm,
a very asshole thing of you to do. Not saying your ex husband is not an asshole because he is an asshole too.
yes.
Especially you mentioning he's has only made the divorce and deciding custody of her son hell for you both financially and emotionally, which I can see why it's been dragged out for so long. Because
Yes.
he has his means. He does have the money to drag it for as long as he can, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
So I understand and feel for this woman in this particular situation,
that don't mean
and
it was the right thing you did.
it's still not. Yeah, there's still okay. I'll ask then. If this is not the right thing, which we agree it is extreme and it is not the right thing, what is the right thing do you think that should happen in this situation?
Talk, have be both grow the fuck up and actually talk to one another. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, let's assume
Like the
I want to make this
priority should
sticky.
be about the child. If
It
you're not even in it for
yeah.
each other, fine. But at least talk about what's best for your child.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just wondering
It's
like
like for her, she probably really felt justified. Like I'm doing this for him. This is the
mhm,
best course of action for my son. Especially since I know that I don't have the means to take care of him financially. Right?
yeah.
That is such a like to reach that point, right? And the thing is, I feel like especially during a divorce, there's a lot of ego involved. You don't want to ever admit like you're in that position. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it really sounds like she did hit that breaking point. But still, you need to learn how to talk to one another.
Yeah, and so the last thing that she wrote was he got really angry and told me not to play games and that we would go back to our old financial agreement that we had before I filed for divorce if I would just come back. Now I'm trying to understand exactly what that means, what
Yeah,
he's saying to her.
that last I've noticed that too. That part is very like
Is he
what?
saying that he's happy to drop all of the divorce stuff if she will and she'll just come back and they'll try to work it out? Is that what he's asking, though
Yeah,
he's
is that what he's
asking
implying? Because
angrily?
I don't know.
Or is he saying, get this kid out of my house because I can't handle it and I can't handle you. I'll go back to paying you and drop everything. We're still separated. Like is it that? Or is it your ridiculous actions have finally broken me, even though I am also an asshole, and let's work this out because this isn't fair. If that was the realization, then there's a level of worth to her horrible action as well. And there is still a chance, since the child is only 4, that they could recover and never really know that all of this happened until they can handle it later. And there's a chance that for recovery here. But I can't see a situation where the best scenario happens for these two people. And I can't, like, I am so sorry for this kid. Yeah, I think everyone's the asshole, but um there's a very strong comment, the very top comment, of saying that she's
She's
the
the
asshole. And
she's the
I
asshole.
would like to read
But I
this.
like to say that everyone here is the asshole.
I think they
Minus the
all
child.
are. Well, yeah, all
Uh,
the adults are. Yes.
that yes, the adults.
So here's what this comment says. You're the asshole. You have a kid. You cannot do this childish crap anymore. Grow up. I get that you're upset at your ex and that the divorce process is hard, but you have a damn kid. Stop playing the victim and act like everything is your ex's fault. And then they quote, that his dad liked to bully people with his money and it made me have to go away. And they say, you chose to go away. You chose to abandon your kid. At least own up to your actions. Maybe it's for the best. Using your child as a pawn is the worst thing you can do to your child. Maybe it's a good thing you are abandoning him. And then they have a bunch of edits, and then they say, I am on the child's side. And the last thing was, this child did nothing to deserve being treated like a pawn in a custody battle between adults. This 4-year-old boy didn't deserve to spend a whole week not knowing if he was ever going to see his mom again. This is cruel, period. This is what OP asked us to judge today, not the custody battle and the divorce. So
Agreed.
I do agree. If we are only
agree.
judging this action, yes, OP, you
Yes.
are the asshole.
I agree.
But of course, we'll put a big giant but. Your ex is also a massive asshole as well. However, even if you're both assholes, this child should never, ever be used to win.
And that's what I felt. I was just like, okay, I get it. Like, you've reached your breaking point. You're trying to do what's best for your child. But why did you have to do it this way?
It's
Right?
ludicrous.
Do you not realize the trauma you're leaving on your child, the emotional damage?
Yep.
If I were him or her, I feel like I would lose some trust in you.
Oh
If
yeah.
you were my own mother, you know?
Oh,
Like, I wouldn't-
absolutely.
Like, in your head, you feel justified because you feel like that was the right decision. But for the child, it's like, I was left. I was abandoned.
Yep. It's
Right?
so
And there's no worse feeling in the world.
no.
Especially as a kid. Where
As a
it's
child, forget it. I recall there was one time that I was not really left, but like lost in the grocery store. And it was like, it's probably for 10 or 20 minutes, but to me, it felt like a day.
eternity. Yes.
And just that feeling is like, oh my goodness. But the only reason I'm still lost is because I wouldn't stay in one place because I was freaking out. If I would have just stayed where I was, they would have found me. They were like, the next aisle's over. But anyway, that feeling is something like you can't. And so I guess maybe to kind of get us to an ending point here, that is the most interesting thing to me about these type of posts is that, you know, there's never even only two sides to a story. There's a million sides to a story. If you were a screenwriter and you came across this story, there are 3 movies here. There is the movie of the destitute mother being treated poorly, making a horrible decision. There's the perspective of the father having all this money and the wife isn't doing anything, blah blah blah. And then there's this perspective of a child who has these 2 people who only think about themselves that are using him.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And those 3 movies could all come out at the same time. And there's a non-zero chance that there will be people who have no idea that they are the same universe.
Exactly. And I just want to say, because I am going through the comments here, right? And like, I'm basing my conclusions on just her title, which is, am I the asshole for abandoning my son and refusing to collect him after my ex told me so? Yes, you are. Because you're a mother. How could you do that to your son? And I'm basing it on that. I'm not talking about like the whole divorce proceeding and all of that, because like everyone is the asshole involved in that. And you explaining the whole process of it, you know, it is financially very, very expensive, especially if this dude has the audacity to drag it out as long as he has, you know, 3 years now. Like, oh my God. Like, yes, he is the asshole, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about if you're the asshole for abandoning your son.
Yes.
In that case, yes.
Yes. And I'm
Everything
seeing
else, I sympathize, and I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, divorce is not a walk in the park. It is very stressful. And especially if it's been 3 years and you've reached a breaking point, like, my heart goes out to you, but still, I don't think what you did justifies it, you know? Like, that is your child.
facts.
But it's just so shitty. Like, it's
It's
like, I mean, like, the situation
tough.
itself is just really, really shitty. Because yeah, there are people in the comments that are saying, you know, she's not the asshole.
Yeah, actually,
Or people,
this is the first time I've
right?
ever seen this because I didn't really look at these comments before. The top comment is "You're the asshole."
Yeah. And then
Second
there, and
is
after that,
not
actually,
the
you read the
asshole. And
thread.
the
There's like people like
third,
arguing. They're like
yeah,
arguing. They're
yeah,
like, how can you, how can you say like they're the asshole? Like you must be like, what did they
yeah.
say here? Like you're sexist
Oh,
and you're
oh
an
yeah. They're
incel,
gonna pull
right?
out
And
all of
then
those things. Yep.
right, but then like, but the top comment was trying to. Like, there's a bunch of edits. They're saying
Oh yeah, I
they're
didn't
on the
read those.
that's why they said in bold, I am on the child's side. We're
Right.
talking about the title. We're not talking about the divorce and everything else. We're talking about basically just the title itself, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what we're supposed to be. It's about their particular action.
Yeah,
But
like
what I
right
was
here. Edit. Just to be clear, I don't blame OP for deciding that the kid should stay with her ex. I am mad that she lied about dropping the kid for a day and then ghosting her own child for a whole week. I agree with that. That's what makes me really angry. Is that she clearly knew what she was doing, but there was this whole other agenda, which is not okay because
Yes.
obviously your own child doesn't understand or knows what is going on, right? Like it's very unfair. And then edit two. Also, I am not saying that the ex is not an asshole at all. I think we can both agree
Oh
he is a big
yes.
asshole.
Yes.
It's just that he is not the asshole in this particular situation that OP is asking us to judge on. The divorce and the custody battle seems to be very hard, but it's not what OP is asking an opinion on today. This is very true. Reminder of the title. Am I the asshole for abandoning my son and refusing to collect him after my ex told me to? In this situation, the ex has done nothing but to spend a day with his kid and then called repeatedly after OP went missing. Edit three, I'm done. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot here. And my thing that I was saying that I had never seen before is the top comment that has the most votes is you're the asshole.
You're the
The
asshole,
next
and then the
one
other
is
one,
not the asshole.
not
And the
yes.
third one is everyone sucks here. I've actually never seen
Yes.
all three of those
All
main
three,
options
all
as
three,
the
yeah.
top three comments.
Yeah.
So that's actually bonkers. So but a lot of the overlap here that I'm seeing in general is, as per usual, about the communication. And it's just it's and I think we're actually almost going to hit an hour of this episode. So to try to wrap it up, I think it's always been very interesting to me how often people not just do not communicate, but that cannot. They are incapable of doing it appropriately. And then the ones who dismiss attempts at communication. I think all of this is likely to have happened here. And in most of the posts, especially when we get especially heated about it, either even in our own conversation or at these people. But the sheer idea that like perhaps none of this even exists if people are always open, honest, and communicative with each other is probably the most important takeaway of our entire series that we're doing here. So I would just say, and I would love for you to say something about it too, please, anyone listening and watching, don't leave things inside. Communicate with the people you care about, the people you work with, what's going on, what your issues are, what your needs are, your perspective, and you will avoid explosions like we've seen in these threads. You will not avoid confrontation. And that is something I think people need to improve on.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that.
Yeah. So what are your overall thoughts on what would be the message you want to leave people with today?
Confrontation is not easy. Life is not easy. So the sooner you do it and get it over with, the better you're going to feel. Because I feel like the reason why people don't want to confront is because it's all of that like initial feeling in the beginning, like, I don't want to have to go through that. That's too much. What if it doesn't go like this? There's a lot of like what ifs you're feeling, but like stop with the what ifs, get it over with. Suck it up. Be an adult. Say what you gotta say.
Yes, please, God.
Well, at least please think about what the things you're gonna say. That's really important too.
Right. Yeah.
Phrasing and thinking about how you're gonna say things, with what intent is also very important. You shouldn't be the type of person to just lash out. Like I get it. There's some people, when they do these confrontations, they feel very justified and start lashing out.
Oh yes.
Which obviously, if in OP's case in this situation, they did that, except with their words, they did that with their actions and their intent of leaving their child with their ex, right? So that's what I'm saying. Don't do that. Really sit down, think about the things you're going to say or do, and see how it'll impact not just the other person, but like, will it get you the results that you're looking for? Right? Like, what kind of resolution are you trying to come to, and try to work towards that. So be meaningful with the words that you say, because they do have weight to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's the point of saying something if it's only to hurt the other individual or to spite them? That like,
Yes.
what will how do you benefit? Like, the both of you benefit from that, right? So yeah, just be a little bit mindful. Yeah, don't be scared to confront. Sometimes there might be no like right way or right nice way of saying things, but if you're trying to get your feelings and your thought across and be like, hey, like, I'm not trying to come off like this, but this is the situation, this is how I feel, this is what's happening, and just lay it on the table, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. And
Yeah.
on the other end, when people are doing this, got to be receptive. You got to stay calm.
Yeah,
You got
that's
to
right.
understand. And I think the final words I'll have for all of this situation is, do not be afraid to ask questions so you can understand.
Yes.
I think that being said, we'll wash our hands of these ridiculous, outrageous posts. I hope everyone listening and watching enjoyed this amount of discourse. I believe we've again set ourselves a new record for amount of back and forth that we've had about this and length of episodes. So I hope at the beginning, when you notice that this is pretty long, that you were ready. Because you obviously got no warning. Here's a post morning. Get ready. All right. With that being said, once again, my name is Rob. You can find me on Twitter at verygood, VARYGOODE. If you want to leave any comments and such about this, you can either at me on there, or you can reply below the YouTube video with a comment. And if you'd like to reach Helen on Twitter, please.
It's at _doomsdaygal, GAL.
All right. Thank you very much, Helen. I always appreciate your co-hosting this. It has made it a lot more fun.
You can see you're trying to get me riled up here.
Yes. Anyway, have a good one, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.